I was delayed on that before. Um, Welcome to Death Overdraft's Happy Hour. This is a beer glass that I have in my hand, and if I don't look at all of you and give you a cheers, this is the start. Welcome all of you, our regulars, and to our newbies. Death Overdraft Happy Hours. Oh, good. Cheers.
Cheers, Lancha.
So in the chat box, what we have right now are some questions just so we get to know all of you a little bit. So please have your chat box open. We're asking for your name, where you're located physically, what beverage are you enjoying for this happy hour, and I remember my dreams. Yes, no, sometimes, whatever. So those are the giving questions that if you can just put your name in the chat box, make yourself present here with that information. That would be beautiful. We have Amber that's here. She's one of the co-hosts and chat moderators, and she'll be kind of responding and kind of reflecting back on some of those answers later on. So that's it with the, please have your chat box open, and we really want to encourage you all to put your information in there.
And I'm especially excited for today because since COVID hit, I don't know what this phenomenon is, and Rocio can speak more to this, but almost every single person I know, even people who do not dream, have been like just overwhelmed by dreams. And I'm actually a gifted dreamer, and this whole time has been like really weird for me. So I'm really excited for Rocio to share her gift in understanding this, but like what a gift for us to be able to understand this like super mystical aspect of something we know for a fact is happening.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to give you some background about like why we're here, who's involved with this. Then we're going to go into some guidelines, how the call is going to work. And then we're really going to get right into let's talking about dreams, why, and get some great insights and reflections from Rocio on dreams. I'm Stephanie Elkins. I'm a continuum of care coach with Be Present Care. My role is really to guide and support caregiving and end-of-life conversations, plans, and programs. I originally started hosting or had the first Death Overdraft Happy Hour as part of Reimagine in October in San Francisco with Jill Schock, Death LA, and that really was the impetus of really combining our passions, which is beer and holding conversations on death and dying, right? We've since changed a little bit from then. We moved to being Death Overdraft Happy Hour once a month to LA breweries, and now we find ourselves in a larger a larger role of being able to host these every Friday for the last 6 weeks on Zoom with all of you. So we've really got to expand our circle. We are now part of Reimagine, which is an amazing platform of a lot of different programs from design to education to creativity, the whole gamut. I know a lot of you are involved and engaged in that as well. So that's beautiful. Also, in addition to just me, I'm collaborating and co-hosting with an amazing group of individuals, of women, diveintodeath.com, which is another thing hopefully that you will go to subscribe and check out all the wonderful offerings that we have here. Jill, Death Doula, Amber, Mortician in the Kitchen, Rocio, Water Healing, and where's Megan? Oh, she's linked. Oh, there you go, two of you.
Howdy. I blend today.
You blend. I know, the fun colors that you got. I love it.
You look beautiful today, Maggie.
Thank you.
So we really are collaboration, which really blossomed from working online together. Megan was mentioning last week that we've been able to create more together on this online space than we would do if we were really together. And a lot of the work that we're doing is really part of a team that puts together like a wellness retreat at the end of all this, when we can really be together. So check out our website. We also have a YouTube page where we do videos. Amber puts together a wonderful weekly newspaper, not quite, it's a newsletter to share with all of you of neat highlights of what goes on here. And I think, so that's kind of just, and some of the stuff with that. I also want to acknowledge just some guidelines for this. We are recording this. You can participate as much or little as you want on this call. If you feel like just, the chat box is open. We usually don't call on you, but please feel free to add information in the chat box. You can email Amber privately if you want to kind of share something, but don't want to, want to be more private about it. So however you're comfortable. We also understand that these are changing times, and our work in the world can be really challenging, both personally and professionally. We're going through. We want to hold this space for that, but this isn't a support group per se. There's definitely resources and times for more of that ongoing conversation. What we do have here are themes every week that we really want to, that have showed up for us and what we've heard from others. So what we do is we offer some prompts in the chat box. So everything, Amber will put all the prompts in the chat box. I originally loved that idea because I stole it from the Death Deck girls, co-creators, sorry, Lisa and Lori. But I had so much fun with it. I created my own that are theme-based. So the prompt questions are going to be in the chat box that Amber will put in. Then we'll kind of review some of the answers to that. And then Rocio, we're very fortunate to be in company with Rocio here to kind of do some reflection on dream and the Bardo state that I think will be lovely in this time.
So I kind of want to try something. If we could ask people, like, okay, if you often remember your dreams, like maybe like wave or something, or
Well, let's do jazz hands.
Yes.
Jazz hands.
So that was part of the question. I remember my dreams. So I'm going to hand it over to Amber and see if there was any responses to that kind of stuff. But we can do visual too, if you feel like participating or not. Amber, what are the responses?
Overwhelming that it looks like almost everybody remembers their dreams. I'm not really seeing anybody that says that they don't, so that's good.
What a gifted group.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. All right.
So we have I see.
So before I'm gonna kind of hand it over. So now I think it's time for chat question 1. But before that, let's do another cheers.
Because this is a happy hour, everybody. Get happy.
Amber, was there any special drink that you were impressed with in the chat box?
Oh. Which one? Wait, what?
Was there any
I liked Callisto's wine and coffee.
A lot of people are drinking water tonight.
Okay.
I was too, but then I switched for happy hour.
I'm impressed with mine.
I have water and coffee and whiskey.
Okay. That's the way to go, girl.
Food options are good. So that's the other thing that has changed. On this format now, it's beverage of choice. There's no judgment here. I'm just always curious what people are drinking.
I want water too.
I'm drinking a sparkling green tea with hop. So it's like it's like better than a non-alcoholic beer. It's
you're doing like a sober COVID. I don't know how, but you're doing it.
Because I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and drinking is a lot less fun when you spend 24 hours a day with small children.
I feel like you would need to drink more with small children.
You would think so, but when you don't get to give them away at the end of it, when you can't schedule that in, it's amazing how you can shoot yourself in the foot enough times that eventually you figure out how to stop doing that. But trust me, if I were to go be in a hotel,
let loose.
So we got
this is the hop green tea is by Hoplark, which is based in Boulder, Colorado. And my husband is a teetotaler of a sort these days. And so he has tried all of them. So this is hands down the best one.
Oh, beautiful. And he saved it for you. That's very special. Okay. Chat question 1. It's in the chat box. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you guys. And you can kind of look in the chat box as well. What do dreams mean to you? A, it's a space where random thoughts your brain takes you while your body rests. B, a place I go to find answers to life decisions. C, nothing because I hardly ever remember them. I don't think I even dream. D, a place where I receive messages from spirit guides, ancestors, and my higher self. E, where I learn about my subconscious thoughts and feelings, the hidden places within. and I don't know. This one I was actually brought to you by Rocio. It was very poignant, so I felt like I needed to acknowledge Rocio's.
Usually you come up with the good questions.
Yeah, this was hers to start with because to put us in the mood. So let's see what kind of get Amber's kind of thoughts on what people were sharing.
Seeing a lot of E's and a lot of A's right away. So a lot of people saying a space for random thoughts where your brain takes you while your body rests, and a lot of where I learn about my subconscious thoughts. That's how I feel. I definitely think that it's my brain like working through all the stuff that I shoved down. We've got a couple of F's, people that just aren't sure. What else? And some E's. So we have some people thinking about hidden thoughts, feelings, and some D's too. So it's a pretty mixed bag here.
Beautiful. All right, thanks for sharing. So I'm going to hand it over to Rocio to kind of get us started on what are dreams.
Yeah.
What is it besides meaning to you? Where should context for it?
Totally. Thank you so much for being here. And I just want to share that it may feel that the theme of dreams may not necessarily be related with death work and the context of death, but I'll explain a little bit of how it does actually weave into it. And with dreams, we all come from different experiences, perspectives, in terms of how we relate to dreams or not. So for me, one of the most important things is, I do healing work with water. And so water for me is the element that really it takes us into the place of memory of the subconscious. We gestated in the womb of our mothers, the connection between epigenetics, right, and looking at the imprinting of what our experience was in utero, and how that also transforms into our life experience as adults. So for me, water is kind of like the encompassing element that really relates to many aspects of transformation in our life. And dreams have been extremely pivotal in my development. I actually navigate a lot of my reality, my life through the dream symbolism that I'm able to extract, but it's been a practice that I've been developing for the last, I would say 20 years, but more intensely in the past 10. So, dreams are an interesting thing to navigate. There's some of you that have said you hardly remember your dreams. There's some of you that do. I think I stepped out of the room when there was conversations around the cultural aspects of, I think, dreaming, right? Like Jill, you showed a book that you had. Oh, the Bhagavad, I can't pronounce it. See, I'm tongue twister today. The Bhagavad Gita, and there's a lot of references to a lot of sacred text in different cultures, ancient cultures, and cultures that we come from, that look at the importance of dreaming as part of an evolutionary process. And so dreams, I would consider almost being an umbrella of where our mind really goes into to explore the parts that we don't always have access to explore in our daily waking life, right? And so, we spend a third of our life sleeping. And a lot of ancients and spiritualists and spiritual leaders in different traditions have talked about why, how important it is to recognize that state that we go into. Because if it's a third of our life, that's also information that we could have access to. And so dream work can be just an opportunity for us to, again, discover what is there. So it's what happens when we end up going into the dream state. Like I mentioned, it's an opportunity where we get to explore these places that we can't in the physical reality here, right? So I know earlier we talked about like dream paralysis, right? There's a lot of people, and maybe you have experienced dream paralysis, or you may have had experiences in the past, whether you remember your dreams or not. And those of you that remember the dreams, recurring dreams, or dreams, for example, of, that become very visceral when you wake up and you say, and it shakes you and it moves you in a particular way, or dreams of experiences perhaps from places in childhood, or some people can also make references about prophetic dreams, and there's a lot of revelation that also happens with dream work, because it enters a space of interdimensional travel. And what that means essentially is that we can go back to our past, and we can also project future and experience future in some ways in the dream space, because it's such a vast place that we go to. And, I'll keep talking about later about what ends up physiologically happening to our body to be able to get into that state. More than anything, it's the dream state. Again, it's that opportunity for us to step out of the quote unquote waking life here, even though we're not always fully aware and awake every second of our day and our reality, right? But once we go into the dream world, again, it's another opportunity where our mind and our consciousness is able to say, okay, what just happened today, or what has been happening? And, it gives the opportunity for us to pay attention and say, okay, the things that perhaps I wasn't able to extrapolate, they're getting reworked, or we're getting symbolic feedback on some level about what has happened, or what is happening, or what is about to happen. So, just in a nutshell, dreams is an opportunity for our subconscious just to enter another dimension more than anything.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go on that. Take a little breath and a little sip of drink if you want, because I'm trying to stay on top of Jill. I'm trying to stay on top of the drinking. Or the renewal of water, or whatever it might be.
I like for you staying on top of the drinking is consuming more, not less.
So chat question 2. This is one that I put together and Rocio approved of. So I feel good about it. Look, she's laughing. I love that. Okay. Number 2, chat question 2. What is your favorite dream song? Is it in there?
Oh.
Yeah, it's not a good one. What is your favorite dream song? A, I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas by Bing Crosby.
What?
B, California Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas. C, Sweet Dreams by Eurythmics. D, Dreams by Cranberries. E, Dream a Little Dream of Me by Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald. F, Dream On by Aerosmith, or another if you want to provide the name.
The Everly Brothers. I love the Everly Brothers, the Dream, Dream, Dream one.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh.
If I could sing, I'd sing it to you guys, but we're not going there today.
No.
There were a lot.
I will say,
I mean, we do spend a lot of time in our dream state, and so do musicians.
And Fleetwood. I see a lot of Fleetwood. You left Fleetwood Mac out, girlfriend.
Well, we thought about it. We discussed it.
Oh, there was a whole discussion. Okay.
It was.
Never mind. I don't want to know.
It wasn't a discussion. It was, okay.
No,
so what do we have?
We have Ella Fitzgerald and Aerosmith. We have, it's California Dreamin'. That was my choice too.
Love that.
Dreams by the Cranberries. More Dreams by the Cranberries. We've got some Sweet Dreams.
Yeah, I'm a Sweet Dreams.
Yeah.
I'm a Sweet Dreams.
And we have a John Mayer fan in the room. I like that song too.
We have a Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy singing Dream a Little Dream of Me.
Oh, that is so
Oh yeah, Mama Cass, the Mamas and the Papas. Oh my God.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
I put Tonight You Belong to Me. That's my dream song.
Listo, where did you see that? Like, I'm curious.
Where did I see what?
Oh, did you see the Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy singing "Dream a Little Dream"? Was that in a movie, or I'm sorry, Bean?
I think it was on one of the episodes of like a while ago, like from my childhood.
Oh yeah, that sticks. Beautiful. That's a nice childhood memory of dreams, of remembering that. That's cool. All right, go next area, Rocio.
Yeah. So. What I want to touch on in relationship to the dreams is, I mean, I don't know if any of you have paid attention to the REM cycles and what happens when we actually enter the dream state, right? And so I just want to briefly talk about, like, on a physiological level, what ends up happening with our body as we enter the dream state, and I'll share how it relates also to the Bardo state that we'll get into. But when we start to actually go into a sleep state, there's a decompression that ends up happening with the body, right? So physiologically, our body almost ends up on a very symbolic level entering a dying state, right? And so body temperature drops, the breath rhythm drops as well. And so what ends up happening during that process is we begin to enter the cycles of dreaming in the REM cycles. Before we enter REM, is that our body naturally goes into a lockdown position, right? And so it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to enter the first cycle. And then it takes 20 minutes to enter the second cycle, where our body starts again decompressing and going into that state before we enter the third cycle, which will then eventually lead us into the REM. And the REM is essentially where we're actually actively dreaming. So our body naturally has to go into that state of decompression almost, right? And so it starts going into that state where it allows itself to lock down so that our consciousness is able to actually wake up in the dream. And so what a beautiful way, and what a beautiful, what an intelligence that our bodies actually go to, so that we can actually go into the dream state. Because if you know any experiences with dreamwalkers actually, right, they wake up and they're actually moving with the rhythms of what is happening in their dreams. And so that could also be a potential danger, because if we're thinking, imagining we're having dreams of ourselves, jumping off a building in a dream, or doing something that we wouldn't naturally do in this physical reality, then, it could definitely pose a problem. And so what our body does is it goes into this lockdown position again, so that once we enter the REM cycle and we're in the dream state, our consciousness could actually explore and go into the vastness that it needs to go to. And we usually enter those cycles after 4 or 5 rhythms. So meaning we go through the REM cycle, from the first step to the fourth step is 1 cycle, but we go through 5 cycles over the night until we have our longest dream. And so usually when we have our longest dream is typically where we get to remember the depth of the dream. So it's usually a couple hours into our sleep state, right? So there's a rhythm and a progression that we go to be able to actually go into the dream state, where we're extrapolating a lot of that information. We actually have memory of it and things like that. And then usually there's, after we enter, once 5 hours to 6 hours after we go to sleep is, like I said, where dreams become more active. And that's usually where people can also wake up and start to do more practices if they want to become lucid in the dreams, right? Lucidity is also another experience, another layer of practicing within the dreams that also gives you context and information. And lucidity is essentially just your ability to wake up in the dream. And so when you're able to wake up in the dream, what you're telling yourself on a conscious level is, I have directive force to navigate consciousness in any direction I actually want. And that's where that awareness in the dream state, that lucidity, gives you opportunity to be able to ask directed questions about yourself, or about, creation, or about, whatever is that question that you're needing to explore. And that's what's beautiful about dream work, that it expands consciousness in such a particular level when we actually pay attention to it and we cultivate intention and practice.
That's intense. That sounds like a lot of work. But like, if you're connected in a certain level, like, so if you're open to it, right? Or if that's something, I know we talked a little bit about study and research when it comes to dream work or analysis. Or do you want to share a little bit about some of the teachers or some of the work that you're?
Yeah, so Carl Jung, I'm sure some of you have heard of his work. So he was one of the pioneers that basically introduced dream work as part of psychology and the field of psychology and psychotherapy. And so Jill has a book. Yeah, he was a pioneer in that particular way. However, we also look at indigenous practices around the world. This has been part of the cosmology and part of the culture, right? Dream cosmology, dream interpretation, dream practices have been an integral part of how we analyze and how we interpret dreams and make meaning of them and spend the time extrapolating that meaning. But he was one of the biggest ones to advocate in the mainstream in that particular way, to say there's something around dreams. And I want to read this quote. It's on the chat. It says, "The dream is a little hidden door in the innermost and most secret recesses of the soul, opening into the cosmic night, which was psyche long before there was any ego consciousness, and which will remain psyche no matter how far our ego consciousness extends." So, he's talking about awareness and our consciousness being this vast vacuum that transcends time. And, this is the reason why he introduced dream work as part of that experience, and there's a lot of work that is being done around dream psychology, and there's a lot of research that is being done around that. And just to preface the context of where we're at right now, I mean, Jill also mentioned that right now there's a lot of people that are dreaming a lot more, even if you don't consider yourself quote unquote a dreamer. This is not about identities or how you necessarily identify with that. It's everyone has this experience. It's a human experience, right? That what we're going through right now in the collective, and because everything is almost on a shutdown, right? There's not a lot of stimulation to pull us outward. It's really allowing us to kind of come back in. And we're also, I call it the veil, is where that veil, the energetic veil around information is a lot thinner. And so that means that people, of course, are going to be remembering their dreams a lot more. And there's going to be a lot of people are having nightmares. I know people are like having these extremely vivid dreams, but it's just what we're all on the collective level also processing through during this time and space. So there's a lot there.
Rocio, you just reminded me, because I didn't know, I mean, I knew you were going to use a Carl Jung quote, but I just wanted to share a few images from the Red Book, because I know that was like his psychological and like sort of dream like mix. So this book is like 30 pounds, no kidding.
If you want to put Jill on speaker view, if you want to put her on speaker view, then it'll be larger for all of you.
Like these kinds of images that he like writes about, he also draws. Like this book has so many like almost psychedelic like images. I mean, fuck, look at this one. And these all go along with his ideas and writings. Yeah. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think I'd use that as a coffee table book.
I do.
I'm just using like I think Carl can be, yeah.
Is that an appropriate coffee table book?
It's a coffee table. Not to downplay, but yeah.
Totally. No, totally. I mean, that's the power of dreams as well, is that it evokes the creative spirit in such a powerful way. And this is, before we go to the next section, I just want to talk briefly about, I know the conversation earlier also was about children and dreaming, right? And, a lot of you can probably remember that you as a child were probably a vivid dreamer, majority of you. And somehow along the way, right, you stop remembering dreams, or maybe you had some pretty immense dreams and shared them, and maybe there was no understanding of what the dreams meant, and maybe there was a shunning that happened along the way. And so, as children, we are open. We are incredibly open to creativity and imagination. And the dream world is just an extension of that, because as children, not only are children living that reality now in the dream world, they're also navigating that space, and it's incredibly vivid. So some traditions also say that between the ages of 5 to 7 is where the soul and the spirit are communicating to each other to give insight and information about what your life purpose is. So that's one perspective. So paying attention to what children are gravitating towards during that time of their life, or even looking back at your own life and saying, what was I interested when I was 5 to 7 years old? It gives insight and information. But because of the culture that we have lived in, that doesn't pay attention to these other aspects of our senses that are beyond the 5 senses, we shun that. And then somehow, if we're interested along the path of getting into adulthood, then we become more curious and we start to, really reawaken that curiosity. But with children, so important to ask and to prod and to, if they do share dreams, to be able to create that container for them to say, okay, what was that about? What were you dreaming about? Without having to go into analysis or anything like that, because that's also another piece to this work, but just really providing the comfort of saying, it's okay. It's not this magical thinking experience. It's actually part of our human development, So yeah, I just wanted to preface that more than anything, and how important it is.
Yeah, the idea of talking about dreams is almost like with death or grief or other kind of topics or sex that people like, oh, people don't have a context to talk about it, feel comfortable, so I think that's really
Absolutely.
great that we're talking about it right here.
And Lisa brought something up that I absolutely agree with, which is we as parents often want to push away something that makes our child uncomfortable or scared. And a lot of kids have really scary dreams. I mean, that seems to be the most common dream refrain for children, is for them to explore feelings of abandonment, a lack of control. Their whole life is living on the learning curve, right? So dreamland, it's not a bad thing for them to be experiencing those things where they have power. And I think asking without responding instantly with "don't worry," right? Just like showing curiosity about the experience that they had while they were in the room next door and you were sleeping, in your own bed, I think is so powerful. And it's such a powerful skill to cultivate with kids of any age at any time. It's never too late to just start saying, like, how was your rest? Did you have any dreams? It's so easy.
Yeah.
So much knowledge there.
I wish there was like a Hogwarts for gifted dreamers, because I would have gone there, and 100% I'm a house Slytherin, so.
So am I, Jill. I didn't know that.
Well,
I have all these fun props today. I'm like, my Slytherin like coat of arms. I'll stop.
That's so hilarious. Well, I mean, there's I think there's developments of curriculum that is about enhancing emotional maturity and intelligence, like the Waldorf schools, right? I don't know if they go into dream practices or anything like that. I actually haven't researched that, but I'm curious if they do. I don't know if anybody knows anything about that.
I should ask Jeff. He went to the Waldorf school. I always make fun of him for it.
He totally did. Oh my
He
God.
totally
did.
He's
Cheers to Jeff in the Waldorf school. He's going to save us all.
That's my partner. He went to MIT and he's like curing cancer. So we always give him a hard time. We're like, screw you and your Waldorf school.
So we're going to go on to question 3. It's already in the chat box. Amber put it there. What kind of sleeper are you? A, I don't sleep. Insomnia is my middle name. B, I'm restless. My sheets never stay on me. C, I crash hard. You can tell by my snoring. D, I sleep like I'm dead. Make sure to check my vitals. E, I have no idea. Can't tell the difference. I have no idea. Can't tell the difference between awake and sleep state. F, I sleep vertical. I'm known to sleepwalk. Or G, other. Once again, these are prompts. They're not literal. Of what is your sleep pattern like? What kind of sleeper are you?
I mean, for me, my whole sleep pattern changed during COVID. I don't know if it was because of the amount of work I had to do or what, but I was notoriously go to bed at 2 a.m., wake up at 10 a.m. And now I'm like, go to bed at like 10 p.m. and wake up at like 7:38. And I've never been like this in my entire life.
So you have a different sleep pattern. Like, is the amount of hours you sleep different, or is it still the same?
I don't know if it's the same hours, but it's just weird. It's early to bed, early to rise, when I used to totally be the opposite. And
But are you a solid sleeper?
Yeah.
I can be kind of restless at times. So I'm not consistently like I sleep hard, like I go to sleep and I sleep hard. But I can be restless as well. Have to go up and do potty breaks. What do dreams say about having to release your bladder, Rocio, during dream states? I don't know.
So
I don't know, but I've been pregnant and I had the craziest dreams and peed like 11 times a night. It was a busy 6 hours every single night.
Yeah.
That's so wild. Actually, Jill, did you notice a shift in dreams as your sleep patterns changed? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I just the patterned dreams, like going to familiar places, where I learned from you that that's where I might go to recharge. Also where my family might like try to keep me sometimes. But, and then that other dream about the kittens, I've been rescuing infant abandoned litters.
That's
of kittens.
us.
I know, right?
That's the 5 of us. Oh my God, we're kittens. I love it. Jill is our fearless leader of the group. So if she's dreaming about kittens, it can only be like herding cats is the 4 of us team.
Totally.
Amber, what were some of our results on the people sharing about their sleep?
Lots of restless sleepers is what
Yeah.
I'm seeing. Restless sleepers. I'm curious. So when people are saying depends, I'm wondering if it's just like emotionally how you felt that day or what you ate. Because like I have a really sensitive stomach, so if I eat anything that it makes me uncomfortable, I like get like garbage sleep. Like my whole body just feels really really shitty from like whatever I eat.
For me,
I don't know if that was like TMI, but it really does affect me a lot.
For me, it's more emotional, but I not the sensitivity to tummy, but more emotional what's going on that I alert myself for heaviness. But let's see what other people are saying.
Yeah, depends.
Yep, I'm here with the menses. I'm here for cyclical hormonal dreams,
Yeah.
dude.
They definitely affect the cycles of what we're going through. Absolutely, it's all related. So
Jill
Mhm.
distracted everybody with kittens. I'm trying to find answers on your
Sorry.
name. And now everybody's just talking about kittens. Okay.
That's what happens. Don't fuck with cats, remember?
Are the questions for the chat coming from the death deck, or is there like a deck that talks about like sleeping patterns? Since a question that's come up for me has been like, what are some things that you use to give you a better sleep? Like, do you put a glass of water by the bed? Do you cut on white noise? Do you listen to ASMR? Do you just
That would have been that would have been my 4th question. If I had a bonus question, that's it. Of like what works for you to help you sleep. Didn't have a bonus one, but that would be it. I actually put in one of the things. Thanks for that, because I love my yoga nidra, which are my like sleep meditation to kind of get into that. But yeah, I guess it's the tools for which help you get in that dream state. But I'll hand it back to Rocio and see for others that might want to share.
We've got questions about night terrors too. And I get a lot of I suffer really, really bad from nightmares a lot. Like it's part of I've joked about this before that I'm like always really, really tired. And I definitely suffer from dreams that are so intense that my body is reacting physically to what I'm dreaming. And so there isn't an actual rest because it feels like hormones and adrenaline and all this stuff is being released while I sleep.
So it's an energetic thing too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna take this opportunity to do a plug for my dream workshop. So I've been having some dream workshops that it's helping quite a bit of people, and so I go into a lot of the physiology of dreams and the layers of dream work, but also developing a practice, because the practice is going to be the foundation for you to begin to understand what is actually happening in your dreams, and for you to take that opportunity to explore yourself. Because what happens in dreams, whether it's a nightmare, whether it's a prophetic vision, these are all extensions of our consciousness, of what is happening emotionally for us, what is happening mentally for us. And so all of that gets kind of navigated through in the dream space. And so taking the time to create a ritual and a practice is an opportunity for your mind to consciously say, okay, I'm disconnecting from everything that happened during the day, and I'm going to set intention to pay attention to what's happening in this next state. This is how I see this work related to death work, okay? When we're in transition, we are living this life experience, and it's chaotic, and it's also incredibly definitive, and there's so much that happens through our life experiences. But when we are actually working with death in general, we're entering another state that is no longer of what we were used to experiencing in life. And so why I love the work with the Tibetans is that the Tibetans, if you look into the teachings of the Tibetans, especially the Tibetan Book of the Dead, a lot of those teachings are related to teaching about what they call the Bardo states, which is really the understanding and the non-attachment beyond the five senses. And to say, okay, we enter the Bardo state when we're actually leaving our physical body. And there is this state of the in-between, the silent state, the state that feels that we are not fully aware of, but we know that there's this stillness, right? And there's so much that happens on the other side in the unknown, but there's a transition that happens as we go there. And in many ways, dreams is I see it as a preparation for death, when we actually go into that state, and we go through this cycle every night. There's a process that we go through where our physical body literally is decompressing, right? And we enter this state of the in-between to say, okay, what's next? What's going to happen in the dream? Or how do we explore that consciousness? And not everyone believes in reincarnation or life beyond this physical reality. But if those of you that contemplate consciousness extending beyond lifetime, right? It's just a transition that is. We're also entering another dimension in some, or another experience in some regards. And so I think it's just a beautiful practice to be able to understand about the symbolism of the process of death, the process of dreaming and sleeping, and how it relates to death work, because there is a connection there. And the Bardo state for me is an opportunity to just say, okay, what's in the meat of this? How do we physically somatically get into that state and understand it just a little bit better, so that when we actually come to that crossroads, we embrace it. And we're not afraid of it. I mean, we're still going to have fears and all that, but at least, we're able to navigate it perhaps in a different way. And again, this is not about getting rid of anything, changing anything. It's just about understanding your ability to navigate with life experiences and transitions more than anything.
And I'll add to that when I do sit at the bedside and watch people die, it so happens that they enter that subconscious, unconscious dying state that is sort of that dream within a dream, that I mean, there's no way that I could know that they go there. But I've also had like such dreams like that present such dimensions that when I watch them, and you watch their eyes go back and forth, and you see their lips move, and you see them reach out for people, they're there. And that's how you know that they're preparing to cross the veil. And I really do believe that people walk into death by dreaming into it. And I've been a death worker for over a decade, and I've seen it many times.
Yeah. Lisa was actually just, I think probably at the same time that you were sharing that, Lisa brought up that same kind of idea of talking about, talk about deceased relatives and their connection with the death. And I think it's so true. At that time, we're just curious, and you're the openness, right, to that for individuals.
The veil goes away for it happens to all of us.
Oh, Rocio, you're on mute. I'll mute you. I unmuted you.
Okay. And it happens throughout different experiences in life, not only going into dream, right? Some, they can be like, for example, my experience with dream work and why I've been so avid, I've been an avid dreamer, but my experience in the last 10 years has been about going into these states, altered states of consciousness, of entering the veil as consistently as possible throughout, through different experiences. The reason why I'm doing the work that I'm doing now was through dreams. The dreams were guiding me, that took me on a journey where it was in a process of being in a bout of silence for 50 days, where I was doing extensive dream practices, recalling, it was almost like an experience where I was retracting a lot of my soul memory via the dreams, and remembering past lives and what had happened there. And then also our teacher was very good at guiding us through the process of past lives and paying specifically attention to what the Bardo state was, because that is a state of not only the transition, but also where the soul makes contracts and says, okay, this is how I am choosing in counsel to come back or reincarnate if I decide to in this next lifetime, right? And those have been a lot of the experiences that I've had with dreams that are, again, guiding life, and revealing information constantly. But we're constantly entering these Bardo states in different ways. I mean, Megan, and those of you that are moms, when you're giving birth, you're entering those states as well. You have to, you know?
Absolutely. And when you're seeing little people develop in front of you and learn and grow, right? And you're seeing them come into things like language, when you see somebody discover their fist, you know that they knew their hand when they were in utero, and then they had to relearn it, and you get to watch them do that. My daughter recently introduced a new phrase called a ghostly feeling. And it's when she thinks her dad's walking into the room, but then I'm the one that walks in the room. And she tried to explain to me that it's the thing that happens in dreams where somebody is two people at once. And I think we all know that. And so to hear her finding the words and her ghostly feeling, right? I love that.
Wow. How much awareness is there, and why children become teachers, right? When we pay attention. Yeah, when we pay attention, there's so much information that we can actually get from them as well. So, you know, somebody did ask a question about, let me see, I think it was about the relatives also. I think, Lisa, you mentioned this, deceased relatives visiting and dying patients. And there's also a lot of experiences where, loved ones come and visit when the veil is open. Right. And it happens in the dreams, and it happens in the dying state as well, or even birth, where I've done birth work as well, where I've had experiences where I know that there's a woman who is about to give birth, or there's someone in that vicinity that says, you know what, grandma or an aunt that passed away, she's here and she's guiding and welcoming the new, you know, this new being that is coming into this reality. So again, it's just about those energetic veils that take us beyond the visible and the tangible, right? And so we're constantly living in that reality. I mean, and it's just a matter of paying attention to when we go there, and when that is actually happening, you know, what we can extrapolate from that more than anything. And I know that there was a question about, I think it was Callisto, that you mentioned water next to the bed. There's, again, so many different practices that you can have to be able to recall dreams, to be able to actually set the intention to go into the dream space more than anything. There's so many different practices, and dream recall is the beginning of, again, a practice that you can do, and it sometimes it does take work, and it could be exhausting, because when you start to actually go into that dimension within the dreams, if any of you have had incredibly vivid dreams, you wake up and you feel exhausted, that means there's a lot of work that happened in that dimension. And so there's so many opportunities and practices that you can do to be able to at least hone in on what information is getting dissected and integrated during the dreams.
There's a few things coming up about like dreams getting visited from the deceased, and how it kind of feels a lot different than like maybe a dream that might be more like metaphorical. Because, you know, I visit my dad in dreams all the time. And I think it's really funny because I feel like he chooses to be seen like in his 40s, you know, like where he thought he was looking good or something. But we sit down at a table and we actually talk about problems that are going on today. So it feels like an actual conversation instead of a dream where I'm like picking up cats all over the place, you know, like, and Lori, I don't know, maybe you could speak to like what that texture is. For me, it feels like almost like a reality texture, like they're actually there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but it just feels, there's that element of reality. There's, you know, that's why I was asking, because I really couldn't explain it. The one that was most striking to me was, you know, one where I was starting to ask questions about the afterlife and sort of trying to get, you know, information. And as soon as he started to sort of speak and sort of give up the goods, my dream just went black and I popped up and woke up, which I've never done before. So it was just a very different experience.
There's so much to dreams, and there's also dimensions within the dreams, at least how I've been taught in the tradition that I've practiced and things like that. And so once we enter particular layers of the dream, that's where we have visitors from guides or spirits or ancestors that come and are actually giving you information, and you have counsel, or it's almost like there is a counsel that's happening there, and you can become lucid in that moment to be able to ask questions, right? And so that's why the practice of remembering the dream and waking up in the dream is a practice that where you're training the subconscious mind to say, where the conscious and the subconscious mind is communicating with each other to say, okay, there's an opportunity to wake up. And once I know that I'm there and I'm meeting people that are giving me insight, I can direct information. I can direct and guide with questions so that I can receive answers. And that's the beauty about, again, just being more intentional and conscious around, how we're going to sleep and what is actually happening in the sleep, because we're receiving information all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I could not recommend your dream seminar enough.
Yeah, I'll share the information if anybody is interested in joining. I'll be doing one on June 3rd. So I'll send that information with the newsletter. So if anybody wants to sign up, you're more than welcome to join. It would be great to have you, and we can just go a little bit deeper. And more than anything, sharing, again, just a foundational practice so that you can start recording dreams and also slowly get into other deeper exploration of dream work. Because lucidity is just another layer of work, and it happens often with dreamers as well, and people that have that channel really open. Children have lucid dreams quite often. So as adults,
that's part of why they keep it quiet, is because they have lucidity in their dreams. When crazy shit goes down, they think that, they did control it. And if we can't accept, when my son says I cut off Kylo Ren's face, I have to not react in a way where my 3-year-old just told me that he inflicted great bodily harm on somebody, right? Like, what does that mean? And without trying to, I loved what you said earlier, without trying to analyze, just to explore. I think that's so fascinating.
Yeah, and asking the questions for them to also explore and extrapolate, right? What is happening with them. And I think you were the one that spoke to that, right? The emotions, like allowing the expression of emotions as they're feeling and processing and explaining what that experience was like. That's the basis of a lot of our experience. And this is, again, the relationship to water is emotions. Yeah. It's a majority of who we are. It's the emotional expression, the emotional processing around our experience.
Great. So with the time that we have left, so all this information, that a lot of goodness here, is going to be a newsletter and also linked into our Dive Into Death website. Also, all the past recordings live on our YouTube. If Amber, if you want to put that in, it was earlier, the YouTube of all past videos. Somebody was asking about past recordings. We'll also have that on our newsletter, but we have that as well. But Rocio, with our few minutes we have left, what do you kind of want to leave us with?
Yeah, I think the most important piece is, especially with everything that is happening right now, that and we've had conversations around technology. I'm an advocate for, just balancing that out because I understand and the impact on the brain. And so if we can disconnect at night, at least 45 minutes to an hour from any appliances or even our phone, making sure that our phone is not next to our bed because it's emitting information that's also triggering our brain function and also inhibiting dream recall. So making sure that you do that. And then the second piece is writing your dreams when you can, when you can remember. I think that's the most important piece. If you can get into the habit of having a journal next to you and starting to record the dream when you remember a particular dream, or it viscerally does something for you, even if you're just writing down not necessarily the details but the feeling.
Right.
Yeah,
I was
most
curious
important
about what the prompt should be, and it's really about, because I know you're really into the symbolism is different for everybody. but that feeling is so important. Right.
Yeah, totally.
So I have to remove the electronics from the bedroom or close to the,
Yeah.
But I love falling asleep to forensic files. Whatever shall I do?
And like I said, I listen to the yoga nidra, which is set intention before you go into the sleep space. So kind of allows some space for that as well.
I do a sleep practice that I've done for my whole life. I don't know where I learned it, but my kids really have adopted it, and I've shared it with other friends, where you start at the bottom of your feet and you kind of say goodnight to your body going all the way up, and it's cute with kids. But it's a nice way. It's so funny, Rocio, as you've been talking about the body shutting down and sleep paralysis or sleep, lockdown. I think about that practice that I've done and how I've always been a fabulous sleeper. And, maybe you guys want to try that. We say, go to sleep, toes, go to sleep, good night, go to sleep, feet, go to sleep, good night, and slowly work all the way up. And it's magic, man.
Do you have so I think that's great because it's like a progressive relaxation you automatically do, but you give yourself permission to go to sleep. Do you also have a little lyric kind of with it, like you kind of shared? Do you have a little?
Like a song?
You go to sleep.
I save them from that. I save them from my singing right before bed. It's much like a cell phone. I think my voice is much like high frequency radiation waves. It's not good for calming.
Yeah. So
despite my desire to be a good singer.
Yeah. So somebody said that saying goodnight to the parts of my body. That's adorable. It's true. It's like really, and that's nice to have the sweetness of you as you go to bed. I also just want to highlight, we're here every Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. It's a specific time. Well, actually, we're here at 4:40. We're here at 4:40 for pre-party time. So if you want to have an informal conversation with us, know us better,
just chat, get to know each other as well. And that's why we opened the doors earlier now, just so people can hang out, because we're, ultimately trying to build a nice community and invite all kinds of different voices in and have a good time. Yeah. It's Friday and we can't do anything else.
Yeah. And even if we did, we're in this. So thank you all for being here. Some of the dates are up there. You can go through Reimagine. Thank you. Anything else, Rocio?
No, thank you all for saying yes to this opportunity to talk about dreams and its connection to this work. I really appreciate that. So thank you all. I hope to be sharing more information as we move along. And then if anybody's interested in the workshop, I'll be sending that information on the newsletter. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter as well. Thank you. Yeah.
Safe.
So long, farewell.
Yeah.
Great.
We should start doing that, right? Like they do in certain podcasts, they like sing together on their way off. Team, do you just want to stay on for a minute after?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Bye, y'all.
Bye.